Juhi Chaturvedi has been a Piku all her life, in real life as well. She first took care of her mother, who was ailing for 3 decades since she was a teenager. Now she's taking care of her dad, her daughter, and her husband, because we know that all husbands need care. But she's never worn it as a badge of martyrdom. Anyone who's seen Piku will testify to that. She doesn't let anything, even death, get her down. Born in Lucknow, she moved to advertising in Delhi and then finally to films in Mumbai. She clearly has an obsession with bodily fluids, making Vicky Donor about the crazy world of sperm donors, and then Piku, where I'm surprised she's not been nominated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi for being a Swachh Bharat champion. Everyone who's seen it will tell you about the portable potty. I think it's a great invention. So here to tell us whether life is better as a Piku or as a Tanu, whether films are fun to write or ads are more fun to make, whether women can have it all or only if they do it all, is Juhi Chaturvedi. We'll see a little more of her and her work.
Baba? What? Baba?
नो ये जल्दी कैसे होगा?
Put pressure ना बाबा. तो अगर किसी को मुझसे शादी करनी है तो
तुम्हारे 90 साल के बच्चे को साथ में अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा.
बिल्कुल करोगे.
माथा खराब नहीं हुआ.
Juhi Chaturvedi, writer of one of my favorite films of this year. Here, come. So first I have to ask you, you were a Bengali in your last life?
Looks like, I think.
How did you just manage to get under the skin of Piku, the Bengali father, the Bengali aunt, Chittaranjan Park, the phenyl chore maid? Amazing. It really, I just wanted to tell you I'm married to a Bengali. It really looked like my mother-in-law had been transposed into your Piku's father's body.
I was born and brought up in Lucknow, but we had these lovely tenants with us, initially Mukherjee uncle, and then we had his nephew staying with us as our tenants, Mr. Datta and his family. So I literally grew up in their house, and they had these lovely daughters, Dabu, Babu, Guddu. So the whole house was... of course not. They were dark names. And for me, that familiarity with the language, which I didn't understand at that time, I never realized it will become so important to me as I grew up. I have, for whatever reasons, attracted only and only Bengali friends. Believe me or not, all my friends are Bengali. Strangely, I think that satisfaction, that sound, that comfort that childhood had, it somehow, I kept looking for it even as I grew up. That whole thing, Lokipa and Dida at home, Mache Chol, everything was, I could smell the mustard in our house all the time.
But you were equally good with Punjabis. I mean, anyone who's seen Vicky Donor and those two terrific women who are always drinking whiskey and rum, obviously you've got the Punjabis down pat as well.
You know what? I love people, actually. I think I love observing them, and I like to make fun of them. Sorry. Sometimes, not in front of people. And I stayed in Lajpat Nagar.
Just to a million people watching the movie.
And I was staying in Lajpat. After I shifted from Lucknow, I was staying in Lajpat Nagar in Amar Colony. So it was like as Punjabi as you can get. And it was interesting because I was staying on my own, and there was a lot of entertainment around me because of that. I never missed home because of that. And when I wrote Vicky Donor, I had not gone to Delhi for almost I had not come to Delhi for almost 3 years. I think all that bhadas, my craving of North, of Delhi, everything just came out in that film. Yeah,
So I'd like to ask you, and I think everyone here wants to know, because all of us have felt like Piku at one point or the other, especially as our parents get older, and our children need more time, and our husbands need more time. As I'm sorry to quote Indra Nui again, but she said that as you grow older, your husband becomes a teenager as well. So you have your teenagers, and you have your husband who's also a teenager, and then you have your parents who are growing older. So what are the 5 signs of knowing that you're a Piku, that basically you've had it?
yeah. I think you're PMSing the whole month. That's the first sign. I mean, your mood swings, only you know them. Actually, even you don't know them. Probably that is one. You're stretched beyond your elasticity, beyond your capacity, but I guess not beyond your capability. You're sort of a control freak. You like to believe that you can do it better than anybody else, and you know it all, whether it's about potty, whether it's about hypertension, whether it's about kidney or whatever else. I think you will be the best decision maker. So in the case of Piku, I mean, even if she had the choice of sharing that responsibility of taking care of her father with somebody else, would she have done that? No, because I don't think she would have, let go of that control. So in that sense, yeah, there's a sense of control. She's fiercely independent, financially, sexually.
Yes, we looking because her father has broadcasted to the whole world that she is not a virgin.
Yeah. And what else? I think, but above all, I think her moral fiber, the strength of her character is supreme. And yeah, she has a wild streak to her. There's a crazy side, but I think the sense of responsibility is beyond everything else. Yeah.
And that's really you as well, isn't it?
I don't know, because I grew up in a house where it was like this. I mean, if I had to go for a birthday party, I was told that no, you can't because mommy is not well. And after a point, I stopped asking for that, and I was comfortable with that idea. And that happened when I was 7, 8 years. So after that, I got used to that kind of environment, and I didn't know anything else. So for me, it didn't come as a lot of hard work, actually. That's the best I knew.
But still, I think for a young girl growing up to see her mother unwell most of the time, and to be the caregiver to her mother, whereas it's usually the other way around, it couldn't have been very easy. It was, at times it was difficult because I couldn't talk to her freely about a lot of things, my growing up years, the way my cousin sitting here, she could do with her mother, or my other aunts would discuss certain things with their daughters. I couldn't do that because the topic of discussion usually was BP check kar lete hain, aaj zyada hai, aaj kam hai, ye dawai khani hai, ye doctor ke paas jana hai. But yeah, so that part I did miss, that sharing my life with her. But I think she became like my daughter. And I don't know, it just, I never felt the need, therefore, eventually to be my mother. When you have a child at home, you don't want anything else. So it just, yeah, I don't know, sorry. And yet it's amazing that you have laughed through it all, and
of
you
course,
find
I had a boyfriend,
everything
I lied,
fun.
I did everything that I had to do.
So you were not a virgin.
I'll not say anything about it over here.
No, we have 50-year-old male stars right now who say they're virgins. Come on.
I feel very sorry for them. They really have not experienced a lot of wonderful things in life.
No, but what is remarkable is that you find the humor in suffering. And I think that's what everyone related to in Piku also. I mean, it's just such a happy film. And at the same time, it's such a sad film.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I'm strangely a dark odd character because I wrote Piku sitting in ICU. I wrote Vicky Donor sitting in ICU, and in ICU.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot. That was the time when my mother was quite unwell, but I wanted to write the film. I think humor has really helped me live a less sad life, or I don't like that whole feeling of depression and all of that. While that is there, I'm aware of it, because if you sit down and think, there's lots to sulk and cry about and feel sorry for yourself. But I don't like that. I find it, it pulls me down and I want to fight it out. I know my mother suffered depression and I know there are those streaks probably somewhere in me too. But I'm aware, and so I make sure that, when you're sitting and growing up in a hospital all your life, how much are you going to feel sorry for somebody who just popped out inside? I mean, you're chatting with the attendants, and then you realize those attendants are not there next day. So you realize, okay, that poor man either has got shifted or he's really shifted. So, how much more can you cry?
But isn't life more fun as a Tanu, basically? All about I, me, myself, as in Tanu, it's Manu.
Maybe, yes. Of course, you are your own master. You don't have to bother about anything. I haven't seen that film, but I'm just trying to understand. It really depends on what your definition of fun is, I feel. I mean, for somebody going out, in whatever you feel like wearing, going out, partying, clubbing, drinking, smoking, being on the streets for as late as they can be. Maybe that was the idea of fun, which is also fine. Maybe for somebody being the mother of the house, having everything in control, maybe that idea is quite empowering in itself, and maybe that gives somebody the joy. It really, I feel, is what what satisfies you inside. For me, maybe just looking at a photo album in somebody's house. I mean, I know as a child I would just go to people's house and say, "Auntie, aap kya album hai kya?" I would just sit and watch for hours because
essentially you were a weird child.
Probably I was a weird child.
So you would just look through albums.
Yeah, I love looking at people. Kisne kya pehna hai, kya kar raha hai, iska shakal kaisi hai, uski shakal kaisi hai. There are a lot of interesting things in pictures. Where somebody is just, being forced to stand, or you're genuinely wanting to get photographed. There's lots in photographs, and I used to enjoy doing all that. So birthday parties, after a point, when you realize you were not allowed to go, you would find your source of entertainment somewhere else.
Go to people's houses and say, "Auntie, album dikhaiye." Wonderful. I think that's a great stress buster. The other thing is, I think, again, a lot of people felt that when they saw Piku and even Vicky Donor. Your old people are not just old people who, don't have a life. I mean, they enjoy their drink. They enjoy, there's that lovely scene in Piku where the father, Amitabh Bachchan gets a little drunk and just dances. I mean, it's so lovely. So I think after a point, we start looking at our aging parents as a burden rather than as human beings. That is wonderful. Tell me a little about how you see that. In a house where there are old people, or if there's a child in the house, they're pretty much the same. The house needs to be child-friendly. You make sure that the corners are protected. When your guests come and your child comes out rattling off some poetry or some stupid incident that has happened in school, or talking in a very childlike language, you sort of expect that your friends will tolerate it and they won't mind it, and you won't feel embarrassed about it. Same way, when there's a elderly, when your parents are staying with you, sometimes in these days, actually, I've seen it more. Your friends have come over. Your parents want to be part of that conversation. They will have either their work memories to share or a very strong political point of view, which most of the youngsters don't like to discuss. And they have a lot of moralistic views on things. So you as a child can either get embarrassed about it or just accept
it as a reality. Now, what happens that in a house where there's a child, there's always something. There's always a sign of progression every day. The child is learning something new, so it's more celebratory in that sense. It's more joyous in that sense. But unfortunately, in a house where there are old people, it's an everyday reminder of deterioration. There's everyday reminder of, something, or a parent who was the decision maker of the house is slowly losing that grip. And that frustration is on the other side. I, as a child, feel that frustration, that why is he not getting, I've just told him 5 times how to send an email. And same, he is experiencing that, why is it taking so long for me to get? So that getting used to that age is the tricky part. It's not the burden. It's not the guilt. It's none of those. I think it's just getting familiar with the age, both from my point of view, from child's point of view, and from the parent's point of view. That is the conflict, actually. I feel it's not the burden.
And what do you do when you have a child, a parent, and a husband who's also a child living with you, as you have? How do you manage?
Ideally have a job, full-time job, so that you leave the house from 9:30 to 6:30. At least there'll be some sanity.
And have a Ramu Kaka at home, who
Or
is the most tortured soul.
But in the absence of a job, what do? I think you just have to get used to the idea. Just let them figure out their equation with each other. Initially after my mother passed away, we all decided that my father will stay with us. It took some time, for the equations. Even for me, I was used to, now running my own house and everybody, and having an old person staying with you all the time. I tried, let my husband come and sit with my dad. Let my dad say this to my husband for some time. Let my daughter come and spend time. After that, I said, I give up. I don't want to be the moderator in the house. Let them figure out their equation. If they all get along, very good, good for them. If they don't get along, good for them. I'm doing my job. I'll not say job. I'm doing whatever I can as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter. If it pleases everybody, good. If it doesn't, I don't stress now.
So you've just given up?
No, it's not giving up. It's just I have become more aware of my peace. I don't want to negotiate that at any cost. I don't want to be unhappy inside, because that is going to reflect in the house. So I chill, I listen to music, I make sure that everybody is taken care of. Little selfish at times, but it's all right.
So, I think that's something all of us need to learn, really. But what happens when there is no peace, when they get into a fight, when they get into a big debate about something? It could be anything. It could be who you voted for last election and look what happened, or whatever. So what do you do? Especially between the husband and the father.
See, like I said, you can't be the peacemaker all the time. They will not probably talk for the tea time. Maybe there'll be a discomfort before the dinner. But once the dinner is served, there would be another topic that they'll irritate each other with. They will find something in next 4 hours to bug each other. So I think, and these are such relationships, these are such, they are there forever. It's probably between a boyfriend and a girlfriend that the fight happens, and you question that, oh, does this fight means that we are no more together? With parents, it doesn't happen like that. It's there. You'll fight, and after 4 hours, you'll forget. And then you'll fight again, or argue, or whatever. So, no point stressing.
Otherwise, you'll just write a scene in your next movie.
He does irritate me, sorry. I'm writing a scene, and he had to come to Delhi, and that was winters, before winters.
That's your father had to come from Lucknow.
No, so now he stays with us in Bombay.
Right.
So from Bombay, he had to come to Delhi. I'm writing something. He says, do you think this look better or this? And I look up. He is wearing one cap. He's saying, he's wearing his pajama kurta and one odd cap he's wearing. Do you think I should wear this? I said, now? He said, no, I'm packing. He has to travel like some 20 days later, and he is already. So I said, I'll tell you later what is looking better. Then he took out his Peak app. Or do you think this would look better? So I have to, engage. So I said, no, I think the previous one was looking better. So he'll promptly try that again. And I have to just leave now. Go. I'll tell you later. After 15 days also, if I tell you, it's all right. But that attention that age demands. And they don't know what to do with their time. Yeah. Unfortunately, my father shifted out from the place that he always lived in. So his social setup was all destroyed. I mean, now he is staying with us. Thankfully, he doesn't mind staying in daughter's house, nor does my husband mind my father staying with us. But it is still difficult. Bombay, building friends is all that you have. I mean, for that age. Thankfully, those little small clubs are there. But it can get lonely. So these little arguments are what I think they're a very important part of any household. At least it says that people living there are involved with each other. I think it's all right.
And they care for each other.
And they care for each other, of course.
Right. Tell me what it's like being on the sets of a movie, especially one with the great Amitabh Bachchan playing your, in a way, I suppose, a character, character that you've sort of visualized, and then he plays it. What is that?
I think being on the set itself gives you a big high because whatever you've written is all happening there. And then to have Mr. Bachchan saying those lines, it's just overwhelming. Initially, actually, it was very overwhelming. And after that, you do it as, part of your work and process and discipline on the set and everything. But he is one person who will not change a single word that the writer has written. Probably it comes from the fact that his own father was a writer, but such respect for the written word. I think he's for any writer, he's the dream cast. So well rehearsed, so well prepared on the set, even Irfan for that matter. Piku was, initially it started as, something which I had written, but at some point in time, these actors really stole it away from me, especially the scene where father is saying, when Bhaskar is saying, ki, what do you think, I'm a burden on you? The scene on the highway where he has left his, the cells of his earplug, and he says, if you think that I'm a burden on you, I'm not, I can do everything on my own. And that scene was when, I forgot that I had written it, or there were dialogues to match. They just stole the whole film.
I was reading somewhere that you actually started crying, or cried for a week after the death scene in Piku. I mean, I was, of course, crying in the hall, so was everyone around me. But writing can also be so cathartic, and for you, I'm sure it's especially so. You want to talk a little about that?
I think that happened because, by the time I got to that point where Bhaskar dies, I had lived with him for so long, and then I killed him, and I didn't know now what. And, it was, if I decide he can still, come alive, because I've just written it, I can delete, but it almost felt that as if it was happening in reality, and he had to die. And so when he died, I did cry. It really felt that a real person has gone away. Maybe because his personality was such, Bhaskar was such a person. He was so overpowering, so dominating, and so entertaining at the same time. So his passing did affect me a lot, and for a week I could not go back to the laptop. I didn't know what will happen now, and probably it's the case when in real life people go away. You don't know. It's almost like a vacuum. And then you slowly start, building yourself together or start putting things back in place. It really happened like that for Bhaskar too.
And in a way, Piku, Deepika Padukone is probably playing you at some level. How is it to, because she straddles both worlds. I mean, she comes from commercial cinema, but she's done a lot of interesting so-called independent movies as well. So how is it to see her playing Piku, a woman who really is someone who's just dealing with life in a very practical way and just being so strong?
You know, as a daughter, I think it's very different. If she was approaching this film as an actor, she would have probably not done this much of justice. I think she approached the film as a daughter, and I think in real life, she's pretty much like this. She is so much in control of things that are happening at home. Whatever little I've come to know, she's the one who's packing her mother's clothes. She's the one who's laying the table in her Bangalore house. So she's pretty much the Piku even at her place. And I think that is what really worked, because you could see the daughter there. Initially, one or two scenes, it was still Deepika Padukone. But after that, it was Deepika of, Prakash Padukone. I would say, I think she really transformed herself into, she shed her actor skin, I think. So, and as a daughter, I think it'll be natural for any of us sitting here to do that. We know kya khana hai, kya nahi khana hai, kya rakhna hai, kya nahi rakhna hai, why are you eating this, why are you not eating that. It comes very naturally. So I think that's what she did. She forgot that she was actor.
So Piku doesn't really need a man, does she? I mean, except to drive the car and maybe, have sex. So is that an option for women? I'll not say that. It's not that Piku doesn't, no, need is not the word actually. She's financially independent. She can figure out her, her sexual needs. There is this guy she's very comfortable with. But to say that she doesn't desire affection from a man, I think she still does. And that's the reason that there's a little germ of hope in Rana. And to say that women are all right having no men in their life, absolutely. We are capable, and we are, I think, living a very comfortable life with or without them both, I'll say. But it's always nice feeling when there is somebody there at home when you come back from work, if you're working, or just wait for somebody to come back when you are at home. So I think it's a beautiful companionship with a partner, and maybe that is all that Piku is looking. All of us can figure out our other requirements and needs from anybody, but that one, there's always a Vicky Donor.
There is always Vicky Donor. Correct. So you don't even need a man for that. There will be someone somewhere who can do that for you. But the feeling of love, the feeling of that affection, that emotion, I think that's beautiful.
Also, one quick question before I open it to the audience. Your men are just so perfect. I mean, apart from the old men, Vicky is fairly nice, a nice boy. The partner in the architect firm is also pretty new age. So are these men real? Are they so new age and accepting of women as they are?
I like to believe that while a lot of men, are assholes, but please edit that.
I see a lot of applause for that.
Sorry. But there are few genuinely very good guys too, and I think there's a lot of pressure on men these days to be progressive, to be nice. Dare they say that I don't want my wife to work? Dare they say that? I mean, come on. It's all right to express that I want my wife to probably be a little old world, to say that it'll be nice if I work and you take care of the house. But, as women, I think we also need to sometimes understand that is it the concern, or is it the affection, or is he trying to dominate? That's why he's saying that. Sometimes, we also do push the boundaries a little more, and I'm making films, or I'm writing films keeping in mind that there is a certain section of society which is progressive, which is educated, which people who have applied that education and that intellect in their relationships as well, and therefore there is a certain space which is there between two people. She doesn't need to commit to him to have, only then she can have a physical relationship with this man. You know, there are gentlemen around too. I would like to believe that, yeah.
But there are also assholes, as you
Yeah.
said. Okay. Any questions? Yes. Mala, you want to? Yeah, you want to ask?
First of all, thanks for Piku. A lot of old aunts in my family took their husbands and said, "That's you," and reported later that they've reformed, at least for the time being. So thank you. I just wanted to make a comment and maybe get your opinion on it. You know, I have an 84-year-old mother who lives with me. And before she came in, we changed a lot of things around the house, you know. Mummy ji ko ye nahi, isko aise karna, be careful with her food. You know, we conditioned our people around and the staff and everybody else. Till she came home one day and she said, "I've signed up for a 5-kilometer marathon walk and I want to join a gym." And I realized that I've assigned her a role. We all assign them roles because of their age. She has 40-year-old friends who are, well, younger than me, as much as I hate to admit. And she is a person. So we've created now an environment around the house where she is part of a party because she's another person. She's another guest at that party. I find that we are treating our parents as age 80 or age 70 or age 75 rather than as people who also have an opinion and who have a, you know, so would you like to comment
No,
on that?
I completely agree with you there because you're right that while you might think that my father has become old or my mother has become old, ask that poor man or the woman, is she or he really feeling that age? Maybe not, or even if they are, maybe that's their way of combating it, of wanting to fit in, wanting to be part of everything that is happening around. And we keep on saying, aapke time mein, point is that gentleman is still around. So yeah, BP usi ka saman hai. Why do we label that? And just to add to that, after my mother passed away, once, and you know, typically in small towns or you know, people from that time would get all their trousers or shirts tailored. And one day my father comes back home with a Zara bag and a Tommy Hilfiger bag. It just looked very out of place. I said, "What were you doing there?" Suddenly he decided that he wanted to shop. Maybe his way of getting over the grief or whatever. And I looked at things and I said, "Acha, you're going to wear them." And they were printed on shirts somewhere he picked up. And believe me, he looked adorable, darling. And you're right that we probably see them as old. Maybe they don't see themselves as that. And I think that's the best way to live 90s, 100s. Why not after that too?
Absolutely. Questions? Yes. Hi.
I work for Alzheimer's Society, and I have realized that the caregiving role of the elderly parents is just, you know, is left on either the spouse, that is the wife, or the daughter-in-law or the daughter. And yet, they don't think that is a burden, but somehow they are not sensitized enough to take care of an older person, A, and also an older person which has a memory problem. What would you say to that?
I think the first part that that role is assigned to either the wife or the daughter or the daughter-in-law, that would be probably because you know, they happen to be at home and you need a full-time care. But yeah, in our country, I think there's a huge lack of awareness and knowledge about Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, all these age-related issues. They might not be so visible. I mean, after 60s, I think everybody should get sensitized to the, you know, onset of certain problems. You know, something as simple as playing Sudoku can be of such a great help. And I have realized it only after I've started staying with my father. Otherwise, where's the need to find out? And I think, going by that recent survey that came out, that India is, 76th or 78th country in the world, when it comes to the happiness of the old people. It's a pretty big shame. Coming from a country which so thrives on its joint family system and, the family values and bonds, but yet we are a country, we are a nation where the elderlies are the most unhappiest. If there is a subject, if there is a story there which can become a 2-hour film for everybody to come and watch, where they can come, watch, laugh, go back, take something, why not? It'll be a subject that I would definitely want to explore.
Which reminds me, what is your next film? It's a Rohit Shetty film with 20 cars and Ajay Devgan riding on a motorbike on top of that. It's a masala film. What is it?
No, unfortunately, I don't have that many creative juices. But no, I can't talk about it right now. Okay. But one is for Shujit Sarkar, who did Piku. And then there's another one for Vinil Matthew. He did Hasi To Phasi. So yeah, interesting directors to work with.
We will not ask if it's about sperm or potty or whatever next.
Be yet another medical. I don't know.
Kali, who's a Piku in real life, will also ask a question.
What I wanted to know was what happens to real life Pikus in the end? Like, are they rewarded for this big sacrifice that they make, or for the fact that, they by design, or I don't think it's our choice, that they just become the Pikus in the family. And what happens to them in the end? Are they rewarded for this Pikuness?
Do they become Piku out of choice? No, of course not. But the environment is such, the situation is such. And when you're becoming a Piku, you don't realize that you're becoming a Piku. It's somebody else who'll tell you that, hey, you've become a Piku. When you are that person, how do you know that you could be so irritating? She is. At times, Piku is very, very irritating. So, she's picking a fight with the taxi guy, with everybody possible under the sun, other than the maid, I think. She needs the maid. She so needs the maid. But yeah, whether she gets awarded, I don't think Piku would be looking for anybody to award her. I think she will award herself. She will reward herself in some way or the other. Whether she decides to get married to a Rana equivalent in her life, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she just needs somebody with her. That also, I'm not sure with Piku kind of people would need people for a very long time, because they're pretty self-sufficient. They want, I think, there's a certain purity in her character, and she just wants that purity in the other person around her. And if it happens to be a guy, very good. But otherwise, she's pretty fine in just going ahead and adopting a child, or finding a Vicky Donor or whatever. I don't think she'll look for her fulfillment or her reward from anyone. I don't know. Right now I feel that.
Great. I think it's been... okay, one last question and then I think we're done.
Hi, I'm Poonam and I work on women's rights, sexual and reproductive health rights issues. You made a statement which I'm sure you didn't quite mean, to say that the women who are working don't end up being the caregivers. You said probably the women are at home, so they end up, whether there is a daughter-in-law or a mother-in-law or a wife and a daughter. But I find that a large number of the caregivers today are also working women. And I'm sure you don't disagree with that. And yet the son preference in India comes from the fact that people believe the son will take care of them when they're older. And so how can you make a film, and how do you work on changing that perception that daughters can do anything a son can do?
I think, when I was talking to her, Yeah, I didn't mean that if you are working, you cannot be the care giver. It's just assumed that, they are doing those roles because probably they are at home. It's just assumed that husbands are going and working and women are at home, and therefore, it's easier to have an old sick person at home in that particular household. I mean, I know my sister-in-law is working, and I was also working at that point in time, but clearly the decision was taken that my parents would be under, my supervision, because maybe I could stretch myself that much more, or my work could allow me that much of elasticity, which probably my sister-in-law couldn't. So and it's not that my brother was not interested in taking care. It just sometimes the situations, and you're right that it is expected that the son of the family is going to take care, but I don't think that is the truth anymore. Mindsets might still be there, but the reality, what is happening on ground, has changed big time. Even parents, believe me, the same parents who would so go gaga about their sons, when it comes to their health, they want to be only with the daughter.
Thank you so much. I've just loved this discussion, almost as I loved watching your two movies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.